Yo, let's do another one, guys. We are back. Pour in. Let's make it a good one. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining the stream. Who we got in here? Ooh, got some of the regulars. What's up, everybody? What time is it where you guys are at, man? It's I woke up pretty late today, but it's 9 a.m. somewhere, you know what I'm saying? You could wake up at 2 in the afternoon and technically it's the morning somewhere, right? So who cares when you wake up, as long as you're chasing your dreams and getting your stuff done, right? 11:52 for Coons. Man, thanks for staying up. I know this is your sleeping hours, but look at me. I got my energy drink. What is this? It's a free energy drink from the wrap shop. I just got the Beamer wrapped. Let's see. Almost 12 a.m. man. Ooh, you guys are up late for me. You guys are up late for the Groper. Man, that means you guys must really love me. Well, we're gonna wrap it up just like my Beamer. We're gonna wrap it up quick. Just a quick market update. Not much has really changed too much from yesterday, so we'll wrap it up rather quick. If you guys just hang in with me, we'll make it a good one. And it's good to have you guys in. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. Let me know. I got my orange hat. Dude, I'm Bitcoin out, man. Even if we crash, even if the price crashes, I've come to a point in my life where I just freaking love Bitcoin, man. I'm gonna wake up every day and remind myself that I love Bitcoin and myself and Market Cipher and you guys. What the hell else is there in my life? That's what my life is. That's not a bad life, man. I'm happy. I'm the happiest I ever been in my whole life. Are you guys happy? I hope you guys are happy. We'll turn that down a little bit. Thank you. Thank you for telling me the music's a little loud. It was a little loud. Let me close my door because my mom's here. I'm taking care of my mom right now. Driving her back up north tomorrow. In the new whip, we got the new... It feels like a totally new car, man. Let me see if I got a picture here, so you guys can enjoy my... Let's see. Oh, okay, this is the new whip. You guys like it? It's kind of like, it's a lot brighter. This picture's not doing it justice, but it's actually more like the color of my hat. But yeah, man, it was either, you know, I was thinking about cashing out. And yeah, Joe, me and CF do not have the same mom. His mom unfortunately passed from cancer during COVID. Yeah, so that was really hard for CF to go through, with the markets tanking and us going through that as a family. Yeah. I still got my mom. She doesn't live in the same town as me, but I try to call her like pretty much every other day, and we got a good relationship. And yeah, just always make sure you're calling your mom. You know, whatever happened in the past, it's your mom, man. You know what I mean? You got to call your mother. Got to have a good relationship with your parents. Yeah. It's a 4 series. It's just a 2018 430i. Got me through the bear market, and it was either cash out a bunch of my investment and get like a brand new Porsche and do the orange Porsche. But I'm really not much of a hobbyist. I'm not a car guy. And so I just figured I would get the wrap and just keep on investing, man. Why would I accept a top in my career so early, man? You know? So yeah, so this gives me all the jollies of a brand new whip. It looks freaking hella clean. Driving it even feels better. And I love the orange, man. Orange is such an underrated color. But yeah, we're gonna go into the market Cipher. Yeah. So yeah, don't buy a whole fancy new vehicle and shit, man. Just get a new paint job, and you get 90% of the glory at 90% reduced cost. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so we're looking at Bitcoin here. We did have a bit of a pump after yesterday's analysis. We had like a 7% move off that low there, but it is crashing back down. we are once again getting like a green wick on the anchor, man. This year-to-date anchor is really trying, man. Really trying. But honestly, the more times we tap this, the weaker it looks, right, chat? The weaker it looks, the more times we tap. And look, we have these like we got these lower highs going on. So this is kind of looking like it wants to roll over on us, even though it's been clinging to life on the year-to-date. Yeah, it's showing some weakness right now, but maybe we'll go through the time frames here in the stream and we'll take a look and see if there's some signs of strength bubbling up, or if it's just really looking that bad. You know what I'm saying? So on the weekly, first of all, the big macro time frame is not that good. These red candles are kind of only, even though we haven't created much of a wick low, the body is thick compared to the last one, and so we're not seeing any kind of, you know, bullish kind of reversal, kind of anything on there. And then if you look at market cipher B, we're about to lose the 60 line. We're about to lose runaway train status, and so our weekly time frame does not have our back for a bullish case on Bitcoin. And yes, I did hear that news about Israel launching a counter-strike against Iran. And so they're going to continue the war FUD, but it doesn't really change the underlying Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin was made for times in history precisely like this. It's actually like Bitcoin was made for this very point in history, you know, as an alternative currency in an event such as this kind of like a global conflict. Going to be very interesting to see how like the enemies of the dollar utilize Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and then what happens to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because of that, whether it gets regulated, or, you know, the government cracks down on it, or the price gets attacked, or the price pumps. Who knows, man? Like, it's going to be a really tumultuous next couple years for Bitcoin, obviously, but its original use case and its original intention will be put to practice. And you know, even though a lot of the common man and the everyday person is turned off to Bitcoin, because just like how they're turned off to investing in general, like pretty much 40 million people got into investing in 2020 to 2021 and they got shit on. And so, you know, the everyday person looks at the markets and all they see is pain. All they see is trauma and PTSD. They're getting Vietnam flashbacks just looking at this shit. But that doesn't mean that countries and institutions aren't fueling it, like adoption further. Doesn't mean that after this happening, like the supply is going to continue to reduce over time, and the demand is going to potentially increase from nation states and institutions more so than the common man. It's going to be less of like guys like you and me, and it's going to be more like Russia getting into Bitcoin, or BlackRock buying more Bitcoin and stuff like that. So yeah, man. Jason Casper, good to have you in. Jason Marino, got all my Jasons. Red Elephant, good to see you. Yes, the beamer's looking nice. The beamer's looking nice. Thank you guys. Yeah, and so the weekly does not have our back really. Monthly also looking to pinch off, but we haven't gotten the red dot yet. Still in the runaway train status. If we look at the BLX chart, when the monthly comes up over the 60 guys, that could just be the beginning. So the monthly is kind of neither nor. The RSI's actually just got into like the market strength territory, like kind of up here. So the monthly actually still shows a little bit of hope. I wouldn't really say that this is a bearish monthly, although it is a bit divergent. You see the price coming higher, yet the wave doesn't look as strong currently. And the yellow oscillator does seem to be looking for across to the zero line. X says halvening is not a word, it is halving. No, it's not, dude. It's the halvening. What are you talking about, man? God, you're such a pencil neck, bro. It's whatever you wanted to call it, man. It's whatever you wanted to call it. Don't be a pencil neck, bro. So yeah, we get to go to the 2 week here. We got that red dot still bearing down. So the macro, it's like really not looking too hot, man. Does not really have our back. So if there's anything bullish, it's going to be on the planning timeframes or the scalp timeframes for now. And in fact, we don't really turn ape mode until we overcome the April anchor. which is the Q2 anchor, which is this red line here. And so that would be at around 66,800. If we can close over that line, then like the market goes 8 mode again. But until then, we're a bit guilty till proven innocent, and it's institutional dirty work down here at the year-to-date anchor. It's considered fair value Bitcoin from a yearly standpoint. If you put this anchor on the first of the year, we pumped below that, or dumped below that, and then we came back up, and we're right on that line again. And so this is a point where, you know, big players are looking to scoop some decently valued Bitcoin, but it is only the beginning. And yeah. It's so easy to piss you guys off with the halvening thing. It's so easy to piss you guys off. You guys are just fuming, frothing at the mouth, flopping and groping. Why don't you start a YouTube channel and say having? Why don't you start a YouTube channel and use the words you want to use, or just click off the stream? You guys are just a bunch of pencil necks. Who really, honestly, who gives a shit? Seriously. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. I'm gonna keep saying happening because I love pissing you guys off. It's really hilarious. So if we go on to the planning time frames, it's still looking. We're actually seeing lower highs here. It's looking actually like it may be rolling over. I want to see some support regained over the poop line, because we just got a slightly lower low on the 8-hour. This blob is still actually, we just came up over the -60. The RSI was oversold. Now it's gaining a little bit of strength. I don't know, man. It looks weak to me, guys. It looks weak right now. I mean, look at these anchors one by one, sending the price down. It's like one by one. It was the March's anchors turned to short right here, and then it was the pink lines turned to short, and then the FG push-up lines time to short. It's like everyone's taking their turns, giving up on Bitcoin, man. It's sad to see. It's sad to see, man. The 4-hour, we had that bullish divergence, right? And then now we got just a little bit of a red dot like under the 0 line. So currently aiming down. Nothing really matured yet to the upside. So right now it's just aiming down. Did anybody in the chat, are you guys taking a short on this? Are you guys shorting this with like a stop loss, perhaps at like one of these levels here? Put a 1 in the chat if you are shorting currently right now, and you're thinking that maybe this could actually break the year to date and rupture like a placenta and usher in a larger correction. Is anyone in that kind of mode right now? Put a 2 in the chat if you're actually long. Put a 2 in the chat if you're longing with a stop loss down here. And put a 1 in the chat if you're shorting with a stop loss up at one of these lower highs. Jason Casper's long. I'm not sure if that's true, but I know Geo put out a long video earlier today. Jason Marino in the chat, he's just watching. I respect that, bro. Yeah, man, I bought some Bitcoin on this wick over here, and I'm just observing at this point. To me, like, you know, when the big time frame no longer has my back like this looks pretty gnarly. I want to see the dust settle, since I'm not ape mode, because we are way under the Q2 anchor. Man, I'm actually leaning a little more bearish until further notice, but there's definitely room for some long scalps within these anchors. It could still happen. That's kind of where I'm at. What about, let's see, the 2-hour? Is there any? It's like a scout. There's like a super small time frame long play going on, huh? This is like bubbling up from like below. It's like the mole people under Las Vegas, bro. You got to go onto like the 30-minute time frame to see some shit. Finally, on like the 30-minute, you see this wave coming up. It's like this spiky wave trying to come back over the poop line. That poop line's really important, by the way. If we go on the daily, the poop line represents the sentiment generated at our January 23rd bottom, and this was also the retest of the Q4 of 2023 anchor. So we had the fresh year started, and we had to correct down to the previous quarter's anchor, find some institutional support, get some dirty work done, and then we pumped up, and that was what that created that poop line. And so now we are wrestling in the poop line, and I guess it's the poop line because if we lose this shit, it's a dumperoni. It's a dumperoni, man. This is an important level. If we can dig in some candle bodies on top of the poop line, we restore a bit of faith, right? So we don't want to take a dump. We don't want to get pooped on. But yeah, it sounds like a lot of you guys are actually long right now. A lot of you guys are actually long and hopeful. I mean, I got my orange Bitcoin hat. I'm orange pilled AF, man. In my monkey mode, unfortunately, I'm like kind of forced not to be, but I wish I could be ape mode. I did buy some Bitcoin. It's just war FUD. It's just war FUD. But that being said, price is king, right? If this wicks down on us, well then the FUD is still playing out, you know? But we do recognize that it is FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Usually not a good reason to capitulate your bags. Kyle Skinner says, why can't I go ape mode? Because truth be told, we're under the Q2 anchor. April 1st was a very important volume weighted average price. If we slap an anchor on that, we try to go over it, which is a good sign, maybe for the entire quarter. But in the meantime, we're below. And so the reason why I'm not ape mode is for the same reason that I wasn't really ape mode down here. You know, while big players and speculators can buy this shit up and catch this knife, you got to recognize that it was very hard to be bullish. And in fact, most people in the space were not bullish on Bitcoin until we got closes over the quarter's anchor. And look at the follow through there. And so, you know, this is strength after the dip, right? You could buy the dip, which is, with Bitcoin, it's usually not a bad idea to buy the dip, that's for sure. But I'm just letting you know that being below the current quarter's anchor is bad for the quarter in at least the short or medium term. And so just some, like a daily candle body over the April anchor would put me back into feeling a lot better about being an ape monkey Bitcoin tard. So hopefully that answers your question. It's not that I'm not bullish or not that I don't believe in Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is God's currency. I traveled the world as a missionary and I tell people about Bitcoin. I'm obnoxious about it. But at the same time, I recognize that like we don't really regain strength really until we're over the quarterly anchor. And it is such a big macro kind of signal that there's plenty of time for follow through if we get to that point. And so this is kind of the dirty work phase where you don't really know, you know, but by the time we get over a quarterly anchor, it's a little bit more figured out. You kind of got the bulls cornered and you kind of know what's going to happen at that point. So hopefully that answers your question as to why I'm not ape mode right now. Taking this a little more cautiously. I didn't just like dump all of my tether into more Bitcoin. I bought some Bitcoin and I'm watching to see things where they go from here, you know? Since we are in the delicate rescue phase of the cycle where we approach the old all-time high, it's like we're about to get rescued by the lifeboatmen at the end of the Titanic movie. And so these are the cold waters. We're bobbing in the cold waters like the victims of the Titanic. And we're waiting for a lifeboat to rescue us. Is anyone alive out there? Is anyone alive? And so if you like use all your breaths right away, what if this does have to come down lower? Or what if we just have to go sideways? Or what if it takes an extra 10 minutes for the lifeboat to come and save you, then you're out of breath and you die. So make sure that you're measuring your moves, with intelligence and make sure you're sticking to your strategy and erring on the side of caution, I would say. Not financial advice, just some human advice. Satoshi Nakamoto says Titanic 2.0 is still going to be my band name. Hell yeah, man. Tommy Two Gun says, take a deep breath and chill. It's definitely time to chill. Yeah, I mean, this is why I love doing the cold plunges, because it teaches you to like actually get into that icy cold Titanic water and actually control your breath. It's a fun exercise, and it teaches you a market lesson. It teaches you to measure your breaths, to breathe slowly, even when the markets like are hitting your emotions, and we get really emotional at a level like this where it's like certain death or impending market nirvana. It's like one or the other. What's it going to be? That's a really emotional state. But just know that the sinking is not the end of the story for those with the will to survive, for those who don't let go like Jack. Let's see if the one-day candle can close green with a green dot. That's what Zeed Carmoot says. He said, let's see if the one day can close with a green dot. I would love to see that, man. I would love to see this one day get that yellow oscillator crossing over zero, get the RSIs turning up, and get the blue wave turning up, but we simply haven't seen it yet. We need like 1 or 2 good more days, depending on how good. Some strength over the poop line would be very nice right now for the markets. Truth be told, I don't really like the look of the daily RSIs. I wish the RSIs had come down and scooped even lower, and I wish that we were actually going, sub 12, so that when we come over we actually get that long signal with the RSIs. The fact that the RSIs like haven't really both fallen down, and we're not getting the scooping under the 12 and then back over the 12 line with the RSIs, it does kind of suggest that we're not quite done dredging this out, man. There's a good RSI signal looming, and that would kind of coincide with this larger money flow divergence that we got. It is looking quite like top heavy, not just from a market cipher B daily standpoint, but also just basic market structure. There's just a lot of gap. There's a lot of space in here that could get filled out. And so measure your breaths, guys. Be patient. Let this thing stew. You can't really go turbo 8 mode until the quarter itself looks like a better quarter for Bitcoin, which isn't that far away. It's just at like 66K or something. So until then, you're kind of smashed in all these sentiments, and it's kind of scalp territory. It's scalp territory. It's not really the time to swing either direction, in my opinion. The volume weighted, the AVWAPs, these lines do a good job of telling you when's a good time to swing long on some major market continuation, which doesn't happen that often, and then when are we smashed in between a bunch of volume weighted sentiments, and it's time to start scalping. Jocelyn says, dude, doesn't the hourly look kind of good? Let's take a look at the hourly, man. Let's see. Ooh, we're seeing a good little trigger wave here. We are seeing some good wick action, showing some strength on top of the year-to-date anchor, bro. Still got the poop line immediately overhead. But back here on the hourly, we got a good long. And there's like a long signal here on the RSI where we dip below that 12 level and then we come back over. And it looks like there's some sort of anchor trigger. This is also a div, so like if this does green dot up, you got that bullish divergence right there. This trigger wave is a very small little nodule, but yeah, I see what you mean, man. The money flow looks to be kind of like scooping up a bit. I see what you mean. Yeah. We are at this strong level of interest too, the year to date, so you do have that backup. It's a good level to maybe put a stop loss at or something. It's a really important point of interest, as you guys have seen. I mean, I've had this line laid out since way back here when I put that video out for you guys on my YouTube channel at the start of March. And so these lines have been laid out and they've continuously played a part. Like this March anchor was the neckline of that messed up head and shoulders. We caught the points in the market where you would have wanted to go swing long if it did continue up, but obviously like big players are just slamming us down and they're not letting Bitcoin come up. So we go back into the gulag and we immediately look for one of these anchors as support. It's like the FG push-up line. The yellow line was like a really huge bounce point on this move. We had basically two major failed swing longs where we escaped the gulag, but the dogs are coming after us, man. And so after failing that twice, we slammed down. And now that it makes sense that if we lose the Q2 anchor, which is this bright red anchor here, if we lose that a second time, it definitely makes sense that we had to dump down to the year to date as fallback. We had to find some backup at the year to date, which is the level that like whales and big players actually would bite at. That's some actual fair value Bitcoin down here at 58, 59. The chickens are thirsty down here. So yeah, the hourly's looking okay. Let's look at the 65. Yeah, money flows, nothing. Yeah, the RSI's did good. Money flow kind of rounding up. Not a very convincing anchor trigger setup, but you got something cooking there. Oh, now the 30-minute looks a little bit better. We've got a little bit more of a convincing bull div here off the point of interest here. You got the money flow flipping green after bleeding out for a long time. Got a multiple RSI bottoms here. And we even got a fresh RSI bottom right now. Like look on the 30-minute, the RSI's quickly snapped down to 10 and then came back up and showed some immediate strength. So there's some, even though like we lost the big time frames back up, and even these middle time frames don't look too hot. They don't look too hot currently. Although I do see a little bit of like on this 8 hour, I do see a bit of hidden bullish divergence where we form this like lower low here. But the wave actually kind of creates like a soft higher low. And the RSI's cooled off sufficiently. Yeah, I mean, we're relying on some scalp and planning time frame movement, man. It's definitely like some dirty work is being done right now, man. It's we're praying for salvation at this point, for sure. And we are at some good value, cheap value Bitcoin. I think this is like a good discount on price. I mean, we're from the top, we're down 20%. That's a solid discount. Trench Runner says to use the Heiken Ashi. Let's take a look at the Heiken Ashis. Heiken Ashi on the daily doesn't look really good yet, man. You can't really say that this looks good on the daily yet, Trench Runner, because you can't say it looks good until you get a green one, until you get a green Heiken Ashi. So if we get one green daily Heiken Ashi, boom, there you go. It's looking good. That's the brilliance of Heiken Ashi, is it keeps you in favor of the trend. And so yeah, there's not as many like fancy candle patterns. You don't have your shooting stars and your Alabama hot pockets and your starfish patterns and all that shit, but you still got dojis with Heiken Ashi, and it's just so it's oversimplified that green schlong and red is dead with the Heiken Ashi. So I love the Heiken Ashi for the big time frames and the planning time frames, but when it comes to like the scalp time frames, like these small time frames, Heiken Ashi, you lose a little bit of precision because it starts each candle at the midpoint of the previous. It kind of messes with the short time frame anchors and like placing orders and stuff. So I err on using standard candles, but not because I don't like Heiken Ashi. I think they have their time and place. Definitely. My brother loves the Heiken Ashi. He keeps it nice and simple. Yeah, that's interesting that most of you guys are actually bullish in the chat. Got a lot of twos, not a lot of ones. Not a lot of people betting on this rolling over, despite this succession of lower highs going on. And so we're really banking on some, look at this 2 hour. I mean, I definitely see the momentum trending up here for sure on the 2 hour. We got a nice rounded money flow wave on the 2 hour. Look at that. Actually got some anchor trigger action going on. Had the RSI as cool off there, and now they're coming up. So when we look at the S&P, still dredging out at the year-to-date anchor, just like Bitcoin. So they're behaving quite similar. Bitcoin is like doing a little better in regards to its year-to-date sentiment. Bitcoin's actually over it and holding. Whereas if you look at the S&P, we're violating it. We're not getting that like very strong posturing on top of it. And if you look at the NASDAQ, I believe we're under it. Damn, my shit went away, but let me put this back up. Yeah, so if you look at the NASDAQ, we're under that anchor right now. That being said, you got this momentum desert under here. See this desert, so it's very rare that we get a wave under here, so this could represent an opportunity. And you do have like a bull div. If this does mature a bit and this rounds out, you do have a hidden bull div there with the NASDAQ. But just recognize that the NASDAQ has lost its year-to-date sentiment. S&P is still battling it. Bitcoin is actually holding some strength above it. If we look at ETH BTC, we did slam down back again under the April anchor, under the Q2 anchor. So ETH BTC, I thought maybe last night something could happen today where we break some structure and go like it starts looking a little better. It's just like doesn't seem like that's the case as of yet. But I'm gonna keep monitoring ETH BTC. When we can overcome the April sentiment, then I believe that ETH could make a very sharp run all the way up, substantially all the way through these anchors, fight its way out of the gulag rather quickly, because there's an impending ETH narrative that people aren't really taking into account. You know what I'm saying? Like ETH has a lot of things going for it, and it's getting a lot of hate simply because of the price. So yeah, if it shows any level of strength, then I might be looking to make a swap, get more ETH. I'm a little light on ETH. My portfolio is only 20% ETH right now, whereas last bull cycle I was like 50% ETH on my portfolio, and that did me really good. But this cycle, it's a shame that ETH is getting hit so hard, but I believe that ETH's narrative is coming, and a lot of altcoin narratives are probably coming. I don't really think Solana, even though Solana will likely get saved alongside Bitcoin, I don't actually think Solana is going to go much higher. Solana's probably going to go sideways because its narrative kind of grew stale, and what people did on the chain and the way the chain has been behaving is not really, I don't know, it just kind of seems like it's doomed to go sideways, but maybe I'm wrong. I just got a feeling like a different narrative is going to take over in the altcoin space, and I feel like enough money went into Solana, whatever you call it. But I'll continue watching that. If we look at ETH, we were doing a lot of drawings. ETH is violating its year-to-date anchor. That's this line right here. So yeah, still violating that. Let's see. Kind of dumping from it right now. Let's check the hourly. Got that same kind of anchor trigger set up as Bitcoin on ETH, and so it is trying to fight its way. It is clinging to its year-to-date anchor, and it's trying to fight its way back up. Yeah, so let's go back to Bitcoin real quick, and let me catch up on the chat. How you guys doing in here? Nate Smith says, what's up? What's up? What's up, man? Turbo Daddy says, just nailed the absolute bottom in a big one. Hell yeah, man. Good for you. Make sure you're covering your ass. You're not exposed like a sickly wildebeest from the hyenas. Don't let the vultures peck you from the butthole out. Don't let them peck you inside out. Willem says 65-minute dot getting a green dot on the 65-minute. Ooh, man, can we get over the poop line? That would be interesting, man. I think that the poop line, if we can get some some price action above the poop line again, that would expel the fear that this sharp move down re-instigated it into the markets. Like, we were kind of getting long. Like, this looks like a textbook bull div kind of setup, right? We had a little bit of play, but like the bear sent us straight back down at the year to date, so that's a little scary, right? But if we can come back over the poop line here at 62,237 ish, then it does seem like we could actually make a redemption play back up to the push-up line at 64,776, perhaps all the way up to the Q2 anchor at, dang, look at that number, 66666. Jesus, man, we're dancing with the devil here, guys. We are dancing with the devil, even though it's just mind games, because actually it's a blessing that we got these nice fair prices, right? They're playing mind games with us, guys. They're 69 in us. They're Nintendo 64 Donkey Kong in us, and they're slapping us with the 666, the devil shit. But really, what's happening is that we're getting cheap prices. We got a nice discount, and this is a blessing from the Lord. Okay, that's honestly my take. Even though Market Cipher, that's my take. That's the NickCipher take. Market Cipher is showing major runaway train, losing steam on the weekly, but you know, I'm just like hopeful as long as we hold the year to date. Honestly, I like something could potentially bubble up on the small or medium time frames, and we could reestablish a new, you know, era of weekly strength. But I'm just kind of crossing my fingers, man, not gonna lie. Like I hate that we're even at this point, man. I don't like that it's come to this. Justin says, did you see the insane wick on Pax Gold last week? The chart is Pax G USDT. It literally went to 3,500 over the weekend. Man, I don't even know what that is, bro. I don't even know what that is, but I'll look at it for you. I'll look at it. I don't really know what that is, man. Looks like it's traded on Bybit. Holy schmoly. That's a crazy wick, bro. Got you. It's a gold stable coin. Got you. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. We got a gold stable coin. Crypto linked to gold. That's a really interesting project. I'm gonna do more research on it, and we'll follow it, man. This seems really interesting. We got this crazy move, dude. Look at that. It's actually only a 40% move, but that's really cool, man. That's really cool. I am bullish on gold. I have a couple ounces of gold myself, just like, you know, under lock and key. Crypto Rap says, what is that anchor indicator called? So even though it technically is an indicator, it's a drawing tool. So yes, it's an indicator, but it's actually a drawing. So if I were to right click and say remove drawings, all my anchors would disappear. And so you go to the left here, Crypto Rap, if you're watching, and you go to the same menu as the long and short position tool, but it's down here in the volume based indicators. It's actually in the same family as our fixed range and anchored volume profiles. So you've probably seen a lot of MC influencers pull out these volume profiles here. So it's in the same family as that. It's an indicator that shows volume in regards to price, in regards to the y-axis, which is an interesting way to look at volume, because typically you see volume in regards to time. You see volume, the number of shares that are being traded, right? You see that typically demonstrated as bars on the x-axis, but indicators like VWAP and these volume profiles do it in terms of the y-axis, which for most traders is a clearer way to understand volume. It's like at these price levels, the volume is going to kick in, right? That's a better way to look at it, in my opinion. And so it's in the same family as that. So regardless of the time frame that you're looking at, bro, these anchors are the same. Like on the daily, it's the same level. Like the orange line is at 67.6. If we go to the hourly, that orange line is still at 67.6. So it's not like a moving average where it's you know, just a simple average of candle data, X amount of candles back. It's fixed, set in stone. It's like a spider line, or you know, it's like a control variable for the rest of your analysis. Like the candlesticks and the waves are going to be all over the place on regarding which time frame you're looking at, whereas these anchored VWAPs are ironclad. They are set in stone, so they're useful in that regard. But to place them, you just go to I like to go to the daily, and you just place them at a relevant low or high, or a first of the year, or first of the month, or first of the quarter. Just any relevant candle where you want to measure the sentiment after that candle, the volume weighted sentiment. It's a really useful tool. You could even use it on the futures chart. If I go to the futures chart and I like see there was a little gap here, we did fill it with the wick, but like I'll slap an anchor on this candle after the gap, and you know, on this futures chart, it's trying to run away from that gap. Pretend it didn't fill, just as an example, or maybe we'll use this gap over here. So you got this gap here, right? And so you slap an anchor on the next candle up, and you see, are we going to run from that gap? Because the moment you start seeing candles below that VWAP, chances are you're probably going to go for that gap fill, right? So it's a good way to anticipate a gap fill, slapping a volume weighted average price on the candle after a gap. So that's kind of a different way to use the anchors. But typically you want to put it on just like a low, like you slap it on a low, and you know, you see how that kind of uptrend sentiment is doing. Like when it slips below, that's an inclination that uptrend idea might be dying, you know, or getting weaker or something. You could also put it on like a high here and see, like, since we're below this here, we're kind of in the gulag until we overcome the anchor from April 8th. And so that's how I like to use it, man. Anchored VWAPs plus Market Cipher B. And it's just a drawing tool. So if you're like on a free trading view plan, you can just use Market Cipher B and crayons. You don't need to, and then you could use another indicator such as DBSI or something. If you do pair Market Cipher DBSI up with this, it is actually a pretty potent tool. I like to go on like the 65 minute and just see how that EMA line, the 200 EMA, typically when the 200, see the 200 EMA here, when the DBSI's 200 EMA is red, you're gonna see a downtrend, and the waves above the zero line on Market Cipher B are going to be juicy. Like look at how we form these lower highs, and then you see the higher high in momentum, and that's like a really, if you're in that shorting bias mode, if you're using that 200 EMA as like a environmental reading, and you're looking at the slope of it too, like if it's nice and downsloped, that's juicy for a short scalp, right? So yeah, and it's like, where does it dump to? It like the anchors are giving you the key levels, which is a thing that a lot of Market Cipher B traders struggle with, is actual key levels, like actual levels to place the orders at, or to take profit at, or to plan a trade around. And that's what the anchors do for me. Not only are they environmental, like I go on the weekly or the daily and I look at the slope of them, you know, are they sloped up? That's pretty bullish if they're sloped up. Or are they sideways, or are they sloped down? Is the price above them or below them? And that kind of gauges my environmental bias alongside Market Cipher B's macro waves. But also they help me plan. So on the 4 hour, for instance, or like the 1 hour or 6 hour, any of these, you could plan a short off of, say, the pink line or the yellow line, or you could plan a long off the year to date, like what a lot of people are doing currently. But they also help with execution. So when, you know, you're an eagle, right? You scoped out the weasel or the platypus or the otter that you're going to swoop down on. So now you got to execute, right? You got to go in the 10 minute. And oftentimes these anchors, not all the time, but they give you a level that you can actually place an order at. And if they're not doing that, you could always enable the intraday VWAP, which is a part of Market Cipher SR. And this is actually a VWAP that resets each day. So every day at 0 o'clock, this VWAP will snap up to the current price action, and it'll give you a volume weighted sentiment just for the day. And that's going to give you a line that you can for certain place orders at. It's going to at least get you entries, for better or worse, into the market. And so the intraday VWAP is a great tool to add to your repertoire as well. In fact, if you tie in the 200 DBSI plus the intraday. You see how like price action is like below both of them. They're both sloped down. And you don't actually need the waves to even do that, to place a trade off that. But they give some context to why the waves are doing what they're doing. What you realize is that Market Cipher B is almost like a feminine indicator. It'll justify your delusions, and it's responding or reacting to what the price is doing up here. So if we're slammed under an intraday VWAP and the traders are just simply taking the price down no matter what, then you'll see a gigantic blob down here, and you're wondering why these BitBoy green dots aren't working. But you look up here and you see the big picture. It's because we're under these averages and they're sloped down. So yeah, they give some good context to the markets. Hope that answers your question, man. Look at us pumping over here. So look what happened. So just to be the crypto weatherman here, so we pumped over the intraday VWAP. This puts the price action more in the bull's favor for the day, and it looks like we made a run up to the poop line. And even though our DBSI was red, it's now beginning to flip green, and so we're establishing a bullish environment here. And we may have to come down and reinstigate, get an actual tap of VWAP support. Like we might have to come down to this white line, but that may represent a solid long entry. And also this is a level, the white line here, if you enable that intraday VWAP, that's a good level to gauge like whether this up move has lost steam. So at the very least, the VWAPs protect your ass from bad trades. They may not get you into the best trades, although they do get you into the best trades. You know, slipping below the intraday VWAP is kind of the first sign you would see for something really bad happening. Like if you were back here, you see some traction gaining on the VWAP, and we're looking pretty good, right? But then once you start getting the candle closes and like lower lows and structure going down under that intraday, you see how you get that deeper follow through to the downside. So be wary if we do lose the intraday. But right now it's looking good right now. These longs are playing out. Good job, guys. Good job. I saw a lot of twos in the chat. Despite the scary macro price action, you guys are nailing it, man. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm super proud of you guys. David Brumbelow says, I've been wearing those anchored VWAPs out ever since you showed how to set them up. They give a lot of very useful confluence. I'm glad you like them, man. Glad you like them. Bitbueno says he's up 1K from the 3-minute green dot. You got a 3-minute trade. Let's check that out. 3 minutes a good time frame, man. Definitely a bit of a speculative play. You caught a long under a red DBSI. So bit of a knife catch, but sometimes those knife catches can play out for you, man, as long as your risk is in check. Really good play, man. You got the money flow trending up there after being overextended down there. You got the blue waves trending up, and then they finally crossed over that -60 line. So the bears lost steam, right? That's what that means when the blue wave comes up over the -60. And then once we reclaim that intraday VWAP, that was some further confirmation, allowing you to kind of sit pretty in your trade. Yeah. Ohio says, where can I help? Where can I see how to set up VWAPs? I actually got a video. It's one of the most recent videos I posted on my YouTube channel, Ohio. It tells you not only how to set the anchored VWAPs, but the best places to put them. Justin says, what do I think of swing versus scalp? I feel I've got a good entry, hold till 100K. That's what I'm shooting for ideally. Honestly, man, I feel like we're more in scalp territory right now. To review this again, you know, we are under the Q2 anchor. And so you see this purple anchor right here, bro. This is the Q1 anchor. This was placed on the 1st of the year. And this was a very important anchor. And so we just got our Q2 anchor, which is this red line. And so it is a baby. It's hard to respect anything or anyone who just got into the game. You want to see a track record, right? And so we don't see much of a track record with the Q2 anchor, but this red anchor here is an extremely important level, volume weighted. So we're going to continue to watch this level, man. And this to me is if we can break over this level that's when I would consider like major swing longs on Bitcoin. But until we get out of this gulag, see all these sentiments here? I mean, you got to battle with the FG push-up line. There's going to be a lot of traders coming in at 64,774 to either short or long. Either way, something could happen at that level. And if you break through that level, there's another round of traders at 66160 that are going to come in, and we got to see what they think. And then finally, we got to contend with the bearish idea that this is going to be a bad quarter two. That's what this red line suggests, is that quarter two's bad for Bitcoin. And so until we can undo that Q2 poo stew, we got to let the Q2 poo stew, then you know, we got to see what it do. Follow-up question. Justin says, sorry, I think I'm asking more the general swing versus scalp style. Which do you prefer? I feel like you lean towards scalping. I'm actually neither nor. Like, first of all, I haven't been leverage trading. I'm just spot trading and investing. I'm a market Cipher investor right now. You know, like, I have not been leverage trading. I just got my Palu ID, so I'm in the position to do it, but I'm not rushing my way into trades, especially when the macro timeframes don't really have my back the way that I want to see. I want to let some dust settle, and I want to let a trend really establish before I personally consider leverage trades at this point. But I did buy some Bitcoin. But to ask, do I think right now is a time for scalps or swings? I think right now is a time for scalps. I don't think that, like, I'm basically not a scalp or a swing trader. I don't subscribe to your labels. Like, the market simply gives us opportunities as it gives us. Some moves are big, some moves are small, depending on the point we are in history. And what I've learned about the anchors is when you're smashed in between a bunch of sideways anchored sentiments like this, you do see more ranging, more choppy, scalpy type shit where you want to get your profit off the table and get ready for the next trade. It's like you're like a sushi chef. You want to keep the knives clean so that when that next order comes, you're ready to start chopping. But obviously, if we get clear skies overhead, if we can get some traction over on top of the gulag again, then there's not really much in terms of anchored VWAPs in our way. Maybe there's other things in our way, such as the all-time high, or just, you know, larger factors. But at least it won't be anchored VWAPs contending with our ideas, right? So hopefully that answers your question. We're neither scalp. Don't see yourself as I'm just a scalper or a swinger, because that's like, think about how dangerous that is. If you go into a trade thinking this is a swing trade and you're not really thinking why or how, you're just kind of arbitrarily deciding that this is a swing or a scalp, you could be wrong. You're adding another layer, another 50-50 chance of the whole trade being a shitbag, basically. So just trade what the market gives you, man. Take what the market gives. For sure. David says, I've been scalping. More work consumes more sleep. It's been get in and get out for the highest profits. Sure, you can set and forget with low leverage, but if you work it, you'll make more. I believe so too. I believe in this current environment, I think that it's a good time to kind of be like Trader Geo. Like, you know, Geo has this kind of bearish slant because he's looking at like some daily market structure, but he's catching longs, he's catching shorts, he's rinsing his knives, and he's ready to go the next day. I think that's really important. If you say that I want to be a swing trader, that's nice. That's nice. That's cute. But be careful, like, inflecting your will upon the market, because the market will inflect back onto you. Yeah. So I think that's about it for tonight, guys. It looks like you guys are catching a pretty solid long. The 65-minute. We got the green dot. Look, we got the green dot that you guys were looking for. Can we flip these like middle time frame DBSIs? Can we come back up? Is this really the bottom and we're gonna make a run back up into these anchors? That'd be nice. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this market crash down, but we just remember to protect your butthole, because the weekly, like the macro stuff, does not have our back anymore like it did in the past. So just make sure you guys are using risk management, and that you're alive, ready to play again tomorrow. Yeah, these are tough times because it's a bit choppy, right? It's a bit choppy. There's FUD, there's fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but that's an opportunity. There's opportunities baking. So yeah, make sure that you're in this for the long haul. Next week, there's going to be opportunities. Next month, there's going to be opportunities, and you're going to be stronger, smarter, more agile, with more intel. We're going to know a lot more about Q2 in the coming weeks, whether it's going to be good or bad. And so make sure that that future version of you is set up for success. Don't screw him or her over by trying to make some shit happen today. Take your money off the table, secure those profits, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Cheers.